Okay, fellas. So the time has come, and this is for the ladies as well if they're listening. The time is coming. I'm gonna officially break down, um, one of the big things related to attraction. One of the popular things that made male dating very popular was the pickup community. And for those of you who don't know, it was pioneered by different guys, but one of the biggest guys is a guy named Mystery. He created the Mystery Method, and this was a method designed to show any average square dude the steps needed to attract the woman that they desire. Beautiful woman. Now, I'm going to break down this method, right, and I'm going to compare it to the current point in time that we're in. And I want to list it and explain how it works. Now, I don't want to dishonor the original model of how it was. So some of my suggestions may vary a little bit differently, but I want to explain this specific video where we highlight some of the concepts and explain a little deeper the things that I think really work and that we really should pay more attention to in the current day. I've heard a lot of people say, oh, it doesn't matter right now, the method sucks, whatever. I've heard people that live by it. So I figured, hey, it's a model to explain this process, so let's go through it. And I know a lot of people have gotten confused over the years. I mean, me personally, it took me a very long time to really understand this method. So I wish somebody would break it down the way I'm breaking it down for you all in this video. So it should be interesting, okay? So we're going to begin with attraction. Now, I think I'm going to do this in 3 parts. So get ready, fellas. We're going to go through the attraction stage first. Then we're going to go through the comfort phase, and then we're going to go through the seduction phase, okay? And I'm going to explain it first as it's said, or just the overall principles, and then I'm going to explain how it relates to real life when you're out in the field, how to apply it and not just know it, all right? So, number 1, approach. So everybody wants to figure out approach. How do you approach? They build so much stuff off of approaching. Now, when we look at some communities like RSD, I don't know, a lot of y'all might not know this stuff, so RSD was a company that also was teaching pickup. For those of you who don't know, pickup is the arts of how to go from not knowing a girl to seeing her to communicating with her, and through that communication, you then get her number, and from whichever number you can then continue to date. Now, the funny thing about pickup is pickup mainly just talks about getting the number. But it does also, if you follow the mystery method, go all the way to the point of having that intimacy with her. Because once you have intimacy with her, you kind of put yourself in a different space. Now, it's weird talking about this stuff because a lot of it is natural, you'll find out. The mystery method, right, is such a natural process when someone's doing it. Everyone's done the mystery method already. They just don't know they were doing it. Okay? So that's the concept to keep in mind that I've heard as well. Now, I know guys that are naturals. They are like, screw this thing. But even they find themselves doing the same stuff. And I've talked to a lot of naturals, and when I explain certain parts of the mystery method, they're like, okay, that's kind of interesting. Now, just so you know, me personally, I've followed the mystery method in a non-linear way, which means I don't go out and I've practiced it. When I followed this thing linearly, meaning I went from A1 to the end, all the steps that he has from A1, which is attraction, to comfort, to seduction. I've gone through these different stages, but I did it for practice. I wanted to know just how the method worked so I can incorporate it in my game. Once I incorporated it in my game, I did it differently. So I do not currently, or I never really utilized this as my main form of getting women, but I evolved to a level where I see the principles, and now I've been able to, over the last year and a half, 2 years, I've been doing this thing very successfully, and I see its power. All right, fellas? So, number 1 is the approach. So, the way it's described in terms of approaching, from my understanding, is at first you want to have they have something called the 30-second rule, I believe, where essentially you go straight up to a girl, you don't think about it, you just go and run with it, and you just talk to her and open. So if we start there, the thing you're going to notice is that during the approach, what he describes is the goal of A1 is to, use an opener, or you'll use a conversation starter. There's also other few things that are involved with the approach. So I'm explaining it in my words now versus what I'm looking at. So all A1 is just getting her attention. That's it. You know what I mean? Because once you talk to her, you're already in A2 pretty much. So A1, for the common man to understand, is simply starting a conversation. Now, some of the tools they suggest you use is it's the 3-second rule. So it's not the 30-second rule. The 3-second rule, it says you must immediately approach the target within 3 seconds of entering the venue. Now, from what I believe, this is good for guys that are afraid to approach. The goal of this is to get the guys to not think too much so that they don't make the approach. Only thing I'd say about that, though, is if you're not approaching from a place of confidence, you're not going to get success. So I can see a lot of guys failing with that rule. But I understand that it's there to get them to just approach, period. So now I'm going to evolve this for the guys that aren't afraid to necessarily approach, or if you want to approach, I can explain that very easily. If you want to approach, you got to pay attention to the numbers game. You can't care about how you come off. And that's the problem with, I think, a lot of people who follow this method, is that they want to execute it so perfectly, but see, that messes up their game, because game is supposed to be free, and it's supposed to be a sense of freedom in your approach. So if you don't have that free, positive energy, and you're like just jumping into a conversation and you're not confident and you're not collected and you're not smooth, you're going to look stupid when you talk to her and you're not going to get success. So according to them, the goal of doing it is to get comfortable. But I'm speaking to guys that are past that level now, okay? If you do want to get to that level where you just want to approach without being nervous, just reach out to me for coaching. I can easily show you that. And a lot of the teachers out there have already dealt with that. You know what I mean? So my big thing, if we look at the 3-second rule, is I believe more so in being sharp when you make your approach and making it count. So I would say don't just jump into it. You know what I mean? Instead, it's about timing, okay? And what timing is about is it connects to what we're going to explain further on here. So let's continue. So if we're looking, we can see that, okay, another big rule is peacocking, which means you want to dress up and look and stand out from the crowd. What's your style? A lot of dudes dress up like average Joes and then want to go out and get a beautiful girl. I really agree with this aspect of the mystery method. You do want to peacock. Now, the problem with the mystery method is during the time that this was getting real popular, everyone was just dressing up like the dude Mystery who made this thing. And it became this weird look where dudes couldn't pull it off because they weren't him. I think you have to really embrace creativity with this one. You know what I mean? Or what I would say is look at the people that you think are fresh, the people that you think have an interesting style, and embody that. All right, fellas? So, but at the end of the day, you got to stand out. Now, if you see me, I do some videos with Lowski on our other channel, and with those videos with Lowski, we talk about you got to be fly. These are all the things: being fly, being fresh, being in shape, being above average. All these things they all got to do with attraction, period. Like, they're all related to attraction. Not related to a long-term thing. They just are the things that you're going to use to get her attention, okay? So peacocking in the modern day is simply dressing with a very unique style or wearing very high-end or very known brand items, one or the other. But the goal of it is for you to stand out from other guys, and you want to communicate high value with the way you dress. So for the guys that need any help with that, let me know. We go through a complete transformation in our program that we do. So, that information, I have that for you guys. Message me, reach out to me on the 5D Transformations Facebook page, or you can visit us at our website. So we definitely take care of that. So now, you want to, peacocking is you standing out in how you dress. The 3-second rule is what you use to just approach a girl. So I would change that to be ready to approach. All right, be ready to go smack. Don't go to the club standing around. Don't go to the club or the bar waiting for a girl to approach you. All this is saying is you got to make approaches if you're going to get women in your life, period. You got to make approaches. So that's big. I do agree with that. And then finally, there's a neg. And the neg is a part of the opener, I believe, the A1. So a neg is an ambiguous statement or seemingly accidental insult wrapped in a package of a compliment with the intent of actively demonstrating to the hot girl that you have a lack of interest in her. Now, this is big because this is what really kind of messed up the community a little bit, is that a lot of these guys with their negs that they learn to do were saying negs that weren't sincere. They were saying negs that were rude, and it was just not cool. Now, what I would say in the modern day is you don't have to neg a girl. What you more so want to do. Now, all right, negging, here's the first thing that really matters is negging is for 9s and 10s only. Only time you should neg if she's not a 9 or a 10 is if she is a girl that you really want to get away from you. Then you'll neg her, right? And you know what I mean? Because girls that aren't 9s and 10s, they don't like negs like that. So if you're looking for a cute 7 or a cute 8, they're not going to like that. Now, I feel like everyone's definition of attraction is different. So I think a neg does work for somebody who is in a lower stature and they're trying to attract somebody that's in a higher stature than them, because it's going to make the girl think twice, like, what did you just say? But the thing about it is, if it's coming from a mean place or like a kind of hurtful place, women have matured in this day and age to see that that kind of communication can feel ingenuine, and it's just being an asshole. And I just don't think being an asshole, it does work in your favor, but it has to be organic. You have to feel it. So I wouldn't tell guys right now to neg her. But let's keep it real. If she's a really beautiful girl, negs can be very subtle. You don't have to be rude about it. You know what I mean? A neg is simply a disqualifier. What does that mean? You have a girlfriend. That naturally negs her without having to be rude. Or it's funny, man. I'm in a space right now where I'm not looking for a girlfriend. I'm just strictly looking for friends because I don't see any point. I don't really see how a beautiful woman can add value to my life. Like, I have beautiful women already. You know, like for example, you're a very pretty girl, but I don't need that in my life. I don't care for that. I don't want that. You know, I'm looking for other things. Even though you might really want her, that's going to hit. So the whole goal of a neg isn't to be rude, guys. The whole goal of a neg is for her to now not view you as a predator to her or somebody that wants to fuck her. And this is going to start going real deep, fellas, because you have to understand the psychology of women to really understand why this hits. Give me a second. All right. So you have to understand the psychology to know how it hits, because when women go to an environment, whether she's a 5, a 7, or a 10 in your mind, when they put that makeup on, they go up like 2 notches. So when you're out trying to get them in a club or a bar or a setting like that, she's already going to be in a boosted state of mind, like she's better than most of the guys there. Also, until a woman knows who you are, until there's been something that make you stand out from the rest of the guys, until a conversation has occurred and she's actually interested in you, you're like every other guy. It's like you're blended in with everybody. That means the guy that treated her like shit, the guy that's creepy, the guy that's thirsting over her, the guy that might be cool. Like, it doesn't matter, because everybody in that environment is like a blur. Like, nobody matters. The same way for you, when you see a beautiful woman, she stands out from the other girls if she has features that appeal to you. The same thing happens to women. It's like you're like one of those girls that just don't pop out to you. That's how that normal guy is, especially for a very beautiful woman who's looking for a high level of status or a high level of value. So until she gets to communicate with you, you don't matter. So if you walk up to a girl, you start a conversation and immediately disqualify yourself, then it's almost like she moves you to the side, and now everyone else doesn't matter, and you don't matter either, but you're not someone trying to get her. So you're like, oh, okay, that's a friend, or that's a guy, that's the cool dude, these are the guys that want to fuck me, and then here's my friends. You're still not in her friend circle yet, because this is just A1, but your goal is to communicate that. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, on how you can communicate that. So let me give you all 3 disqualifiers that I think are very effective. I think the girlfriend one works amazing. Even if you don't have a girlfriend, it can help you big time to use it, because now she knows that you're not thirsty, right? But that's at the same time, if you really want a girl and you say you have a girlfriend, you got to deal with the fact that if she's not giving you attention, you got to be cool with that, right? So for the guys that are like, look, I don't have a girlfriend, I don't want to fake that, the other one you can use is, hey, I just wanted to ask a question because it's a girl that I'm talking to right now. Or anything like that. Like, you don't even have to, I'm talking to a girl, I wanted to see what you guys think. Boom, you're disqualified because you have a girlfriend, right? Another big thing is body language. How are you standing? Are you looking at her like you're really attracted to her but trying to say you have a girlfriend? Or are you kind of like turning over like, oh, hey, bro, I'm sorry, is this your friend? Yeah, I'm sorry, lady, I just want to ask you all a question. Boom, it's very natural that way. So this is powerful because this is how you get her attention on you. And to really sum up A1, it's about getting her attention. So if you're wearing certain clothes that stand out, guess what? Girls are going to look at you. If you are making approaches, you have a better chance of girls looking at you, or women will look at you because you're talking to them. And if you're negging, right, it allows you to have conversations with women without having to deal with a lot of rejection because you're not coming in just trying to take value. Just go smack. Now, if you're out on the street and you randomly see a girl, I think you should go direct, unless you have a good opportunity to ask a question. But I think direct is better because she's not in a competitive environment, and she's more so now you're dealing with availability. We're going to deal with availability later because that's how you're going to clean up. So give me 1 second, fellas. Okay, so number 4 for A1 is opinion openers. As I just mentioned, I just did one. Wanted to get your perspective on something, or wanted to find out what you think about something, or wanted to ask you something about something. You know what I mean? The whole idea and the whole goal of it is to get her attention on you through a conversation. As long as her eyes are looking at you, you're getting attention. And if you're getting attention, you've successfully done A1. So what are some openers you can do? Hey, I wanted to ask you a question. You can come with any question you want to ask. I want to ask you a question. With everything going on, do you think that during the date you should be able to discuss politics? Oh, well, I think politics messes up the date. Exactly, right? That's what I try to tell my girlfriend, right? But she never listens to me. So she's talking to this guy, and then the next thing you know, they're sitting here arguing over this Biden-Trump thing, and I'm like, man, is it good to just get it all out in the open now? Or, is it something where, you just leave it away? You know what I mean? I don't know. And they might say, yeah, I think it doesn't work well. And it's like, okay, that's interesting. You seem like somebody, that doesn't mind getting political. You look like I could see you on Fox or on CNN or something. She'll be like, huh? Like, yeah, you could be like a news anchor or something. You know what I mean? Maybe you could do the weather. But you couldn't do the weather here, because you look like somebody that's more bi-coastal. You need to go to L.A. and do the weather. At this point, she might be like, what are you talking about? And you'll be like, then from there you go into a whole new conversation. You know what I mean? From there you go to a whole new conversation. What brought you all over here? The whole goal is that you're now in conversation with her off of a question. It's just a transition. There's a bunch of other ones, whatever. And then this is a big one. This is a fine one, a false time constraint, which is I can only stay for a minute. You'll let her know, hey, I got a quick question for you guys. I got to go. But, yes, I think that is helpful if you do that. Now, my thing is, though, I don't think necessarily you have to do these exact things. So I listed all the things that you should do in A1. Now, let me tell y'all my version of A1. I'm going to do this after each one. My version of A1 is you come looking clean or you come looking different. You align with the people around you that are with you, or, you walk around and you just create openers partners in conversations and you talk to different women that are very beautiful about random stuff. And what happens when you do that is now other women see you talking to beautiful women. You now come off as non-threatening, and you've now created communications with women in the environment. Keep them quick and move to the next one. Your whole goal was to just open the flow of conversation. So it's as simple as that. Approach as many women as possible, but have very casual conversations, okay? To be attractive, that's A1. And once again, to sum up A1 is just having her put her attention on you. Having her put her attention on you. Now you exist out of the plethora of random people. You're no longer a Joe Blow. You're now, whatever your name is. Now A2 is simply getting the girl from now not knowing you. Now she's talked to you. Now you're trying to trigger in her an attraction. Because you could talk to somebody casually, but they don't feel anything. So A2 is all about triggering a feeling in her. Women are emotional creatures, many people say. Emotional beings. We're all emotional beings. But if you want to attract a woman, you want to speak to her emotion. I've heard this explained different ways by different guys. I've had greats like Patrice O'Neal would elicit emotion in a woman by arguing with her or challenging her early. Like, why are you reading that book right there, that magazine? Don't you need to be reading How to Cook, the How to Cook magazine? And the girl would be like, what did you just say? And he'd be like, what you mean? I'm just. She'd be like, huh? What you mean I need to just cook? And he'd just be like, I'm just playing with you. I just thought you was cute. And she'd boom, but it would work because he was able to elicit emotion out of her. He even said the one thing I don't want anybody eliciting emotion in my girlfriend, because whether she knows it or not, see, emotion is powerful in a woman because the traumas that they experience or those high emotional experiences they have for good and bad, especially bad, they stick to the mind longer. So if you can trigger an emotion in her, you'll stay in her mind longer, right? And so vice versa, by the way. Women can learn a lot with these methods. They can maybe notice some of the stuff guys do to them, and women can use these as well. But right now I'm just speaking from the guy perspective, approaching a woman. So let's talk about some things with A2. How do you elicit emotion in her? Well, so according to the Mystery Method, there's some things you can do. Number one is you want a DHV. Now, I've done a video on DHV on my 5D Transformations YouTube. Definitely watch that. DHVs are all about demonstrating high value. And I think that's going to be in the Patreon, actually. So check out the Patreon on DHVs. DHVs are all about saying things about yourself that, so you would have an opener with it, like, yeah, what do you think about politics? It's like, yeah, I don't think people should argue in politics. Exactly, right? That's exactly what I think. You know what I mean? I travel all the time, and when I go to other countries, people do not argue, or debate the same way they argue in America. Like, they'll argue, people are always debating about different things, but it's a much more communal environment. Like a trip I did when I was in Russia, man, it was insane. I was there with some friends. Now, this is if you might have been to Russia. I know a lot of people who travel to Europe, Africa. I got friends that came back from the islands, the Caribbean, So wherever you've gone, you can explain that you've traveled, and it should be like, okay, this isn't just a random dude now. He's a random dude that travels. Traveling is considered attractive to women, generally. So you're hitting that. What's another thing that's attractive? Let's say you're somebody who works hard. You can normally just say, yeah, I work at this place and that's it. Or you can say, yeah, it's funny, people are debating about politics, but, I'm really passionate about really helping build communities, because that's something I've seen that we really need to pay more attention to, but we're paying attention to all this other stuff, and I actually help build this community in a really tough area where I live at, but you'll be surprised the character of people, like, they have so much passion in these little areas, and all they need is just a little bit of attention. All I'm doing is describing more about myself. So we used a random convo for me to now display value. Okay? So that's very big, fellas, because that's your golden ticket. And that's what me and Lowski have been talking about a lot. Being able to speak in a way where you have value. Speaking in ways where you have connections. Speaking in ways where you have high-value things you're doing. How can you connect her to a valuable situation or put her in a good situation or in a good place by knowing you? These are the things you want to listen in your conversations, and that's something we can go further into. Because the way you do that is through storytelling. And this is something that we all can work on more. Like, storytelling is so powerful. I'm naturally not much of a storyteller unless I get a funny story that comes to me, which is great. But you also got to be able to tell stories about yourself of normal things you do that are very valuable. If you listen, I've said this before, but if you listen to Kobe Bryant or any of these high-value people that have accomplished a lot, and if you listen to their interviews, the whole interview they're pouring value out. Oh, I just got back from a trip here. I was actually hanging out with this person, Mark Zuckerberg or whatever, and we were thinking of this, and, everything is high value naturally. Now, I know that you can't put the same experiences in your life necessarily that they might have put in their life. They have a different life than you. But what are the things in your life that are interesting? How can you bring more out of those situations? How can you explain them in a way that's more fulfilling? Somebody can explain getting ice cream, and it can sound very seductive. You know what I mean? Like, man, I just got some ice cream before I came here, and it's my cheat day. I love to work out, but it's actually my cheat day. And so I got some ice cream. Don't judge me, So I'm eating this ice cream, and oh my gosh, it was the best ice cream I've had. I mean, it had white chocolate. I had the ice cream that was so soft and smooth. Like, it tasted so rich. It had M&Ms and, sprinkles of heat in there, you know what I mean? Or, I put some hot melted caramel on there, and it was just so good. You know what I mean? I could taste the richness of it. I could taste it right now. Like, have you ever had an ice cream that just tasted so fucking good? You know what I mean? Like, right now in my conversation, this is I'm bringing her into a situation. I'm bringing her to an experience. I'm giving her a feeling. So storytelling is what you want to use to convey your value, because then you're not bragging. You're simply just telling stories about stuff you're doing. Okay? So this is something that's big. And I think this is actually very powerful. Now, the only thing about this is I've noticed when I've watched a lot of these guys talk, it can be very like too wordy. The stories can be too long, and it can be a bit too much. Because what you'll notice about girls in the current age we're in now, especially the younger girls, they don't care for like all of these long talks and all of this stuff you did. Because then you don't want to come off like a trick. And a trick is somebody that pays money to have sex with women, a guy that invests a lot of money in order to get sex instead of getting women naturally through his conversation or, through his life. And I'm not knocking guys that do that. Everybody has to do what they have to do to, get their sexual needs fulfilled. But there's a certain group of women, especially very beautiful women, that can view men like that as very, like, boring, very into themselves. Guys that tell stories all the time about themselves, it can just come off very, like, not fun. Because a big part of what makes conversation with women powerful is that you're hearing their world. You're learning about where they're coming from. You're learning about their life. And what you'll find is that most women love to have an outlet where they can express some of their inner world, especially a girl that's single or a girl that might not have a guy to always explain that to. And then even women in relationships, most of the men in relationships with their women for a while, like, they don't give them the attention that they initially did. So a lot of women feel as though they're not heard. They're going to work, they're going home, they have to handle bills, they got to handle life. So when you sit with them and just listen, there's power in that. So a very powerful thing you can do is just listen to them talk. And when you find an opening in a place where you can provide value, like, wow, I have a friend that actually does it that can help you in that area. I met him when I was in college, and we were doing a lot of, like, big events together. You know what I mean? So you can tie in where you can help her at the right times where it comes off natural. But you don't want to be just lighting off story on story where she can't even talk. So you want to implement stories at the right time. It's a very subtle type of thing. And what you more so want to pay attention to is your body language. How do you look? What's your energy like? Because what you want to care about the most during A2 is you want to build a little comfort. It's like a pre-comfort before the comfort stage that you want to set in with her, where you're doing A2 right when she's talking to you and just letting herself be heard to you and is very comfortable with you. That's when when you build comfort with her. Here's a huge secret, guys. A huge secret. And I think I'm going to do a whole video on this. If a woman is talking to you, she likes you, period. Like, If a woman is in a conversation with you and is actually sitting there with you and doesn't want to like leave, she likes you. You got her. So that doesn't mean you can necessarily have sex with her or start dating her. Like, she's still feeling you out, but she likes you. You know what I mean? So if she's talking to you, you've done A2 successfully. If she's talking to you and looks as though she's interested, right? Some of the techniques you can do is the push-pull technique, which is where you push her away and then pull her back. Like, I really like your style, but you're more of a grunge type, and my experience with grunge girls has been horrible. So me and you could never date, but at the same time, you just have such a, nice little babyish smile to you. It's just funny to me. It's cute. Like, look at your cheeks right now. Look at them. And she's like, huh? And it's like, whatever. You get away from me. I can't talk to her. So anyways, and then you talk to her friend. Then you pulled her in, and then you pushed her away. You know what I mean? Or you pushed her away, and then you pulled her in. That's how you're working it. You know what I mean? It's giving her a sense of misdirection in your conversation. She doesn't know you're fully sold, but based on the energy, she knows you do like her. Okay? Because this is what women do to us. Everything I'm explaining is what women do to us. They'll be with you. They'll be in an environment with you. They know they like you. They know they want to do everything, but they're not going to say it. And even if you ask them and you both want to have sex with each other or something, or kiss each other, she still might resist. It's because she doesn't want to come off like a girl that's fast or a girl that's easy. So that's why they do these type of things. All right. So, and then finally, one of the other ones is cocky funny. That's where you can essentially, it's basically the art of being confident and funny at the same time. Being able to push her a little bit and test her. So, it's just keeping that alpha energy while you're with her versus being a guy that's just like, oh, yeah, I agree with everything you like. Oh, wow, that's amazing you do that. Oh, wow, you're so great. You're so great. Great, great, great. All right, can I get your number because I like you. That's not sincere. So when you're challenging a woman, it feels sincere to her more because it's almost like that older brother effect, or the guys teasing each other, or, you're giving her that energy. And that's what they crave. They crave having those male friendships that men have with other guys because they don't get that with women. And remember, what is attracting her to you is that you're providing her a side to life as a masculine that she can't get from the feminine. So that you got to let her feel that. Otherwise, if you're just giving her friendship energy, then you're like a girl. You know what I mean? So now that's basically A2. You're using ways through conversation to make yourself seem as though you're higher value than other men, and also you're teasing a little bit to give her a little bit of a push and pull. Now, what do I say about this? I think this can work, but I think the push and pull isn't needed as much. I don't think you need to tell stories as much. I think A2 should be something that's really fast. I say you open a conversation with her, you know what I mean? You keep it light, and you let your body language do most of the work. Do you look confident? Do you look like you're winning? And you say one thing, that's it. Like, oh, cool. I'm just asking, because I came back from L.A., and I was with some friends, and we're trying to figure out, like, what's the deal with this? Or say one thing. It doesn't have to be, oh, I'm a millionaire, by the way. No, it's very subtle, man. Let me tell you, one time there was a girl that was in the back seat. I did Uber years ago, and one time I was practicing this method while I was doing Uber. And the girl was there, and she was with 3 friends, and they came in town. And so I'm just chilling, and they're asking me questions, but it's really chill. There's no attraction felt yet. So then I'm chilling, and she brought up that she went to some country. It was called, what was it, like Cabo or something. Something like that. It was like some place she went to. And I was like, oh, that's crazy, because my homie who mentioned that he was in that area, I was like, I had a friend that actually came just back in town from that area. And the thing is, I really did. He came back from there way earlier in the year, though, but I just said, hey, I have a friend that just came back from that area not too long ago. And he's actually going to be in town this weekend. We're going to celebrate. We're going to hang out and do some celebrations, man, so that's cool. As soon as I said that, man, this girl was, shortly after, she was like, hey, take my number down. You're cute. Next thing I know, she's throwing triggers of attraction at me. And what that might have signified is, okay, he has connections, or he knows somebody that's been that same place as me. So there's a connection. So now you're not just the Uber driver, there's a connection. Even if it's subtle, like my friend went to some place you went to, that hits big time. So you want to do that and keep conversations very light. I don't think you should go in like 8 stories. I think there should be one story, right? And then from there, you're just talking and vibing. It just goes back to regular conversation. The story is only used to bring you all together. Now, the final thing I'll say about this is that I think a neg is good only if you're with a very beautiful woman that looks very disinterested from you. That's where you really want to throw in a neg. Like, it's funny because my girlfriend or that will straighten her up, because then she's like, oh, okay, he's not one of them. Otherwise, you can disqualify yourself subtly by just saying, by just bringing up you have a girlfriend, by just bringing up I don't think you have to neg. I don't think you have to bring her down or bring her self-esteem down. I think that was an old technique that worked, but in the current state that we're in, especially with women's, the movement of them, dealing with, it's been a lot of crappy guys that have done a lot of messed up things. The women that muddle this down, because then she'll hear that and she's like, oh, that's like the a-hole that I dated at this point. You want to separate yourself from all those lame dudes that have to use lower shots at a woman to bring her down, and instead you want to just disqualify yourself from her because you're just not thirsty. You don't have to be thirsty because you're a man and you want to have sex with her, man. The truth is, man, I'm going to give y'all some game in this. Like, once you see her naked, once you've had her full, it's like things become very clear. So a big part of being able to do A2 and just game is how much can you put yourself in a state of mind naturally after you've busted in that versus before. And I know that's hard because you like her so much, you're so attracted, you want to make things happen. But what you have to realize is she's going to give you everything once you go through these steps. So this is a part that requires patience. So you don't have to bring her morale down, but you can definitely disqualify yourself, and I think that's very powerful for very beautiful women. And finally, you don't have to disqualify yourself. I think if you just go into an interesting story, right, and talk to the girl, I think you'll be in good shape. But let me be real, disqualifying yourself is a tool I would recommend to guys, because when you disqualify yourself, you put yourself in a completely different world. At this point in my life, I don't go at any woman directly trying to get at her because of the simple fact that I have too much value to be doing that. I don't even know who this girl is. I don't even know what she can bring into my life. She has to earn that. You know what I mean? She can't just get that off the strength. You know what I mean? So what does that mean for the guys is that don't be sold just because she's beautiful on a girl. Like, that's just the beginning. The same way when she looks at you and she sees you're cute and she sees you're cool, but in her mind she's like, this is the beginning. I got to read more before I decide to give her my body. As a man, you should think the same way before you give her your mind fully. And fuck it, you can give her your mind for a little while, but you got to understand, like, the more you give her your mind for a little while, you're going to gather more information about her. And you want to have sex with her from a place of, man, this girl is dope. Like, I've known her for a while, and she's cool as shit, and I feel like it's time that we do it. Versus, you're so pressed to have sex, you're just ready to give it up that night. Now, can you do one night stands? Hell yeah. Right? But this is for a girl that you want to keep in your life. The mystery method is for girls that you want to seduce slowly, which means they're going to be more invested. So I wouldn't recommend this for guys that want to get laid. For guys that want to get laid, we have completely different information that we have and that I have available on 5D Transformations and on the Patreon. So if you want to just know this method, just to know, continue, watch this and know it, but continue to go direct, because that's how you're going to get laid the most. This is if you want to have beautiful women and very high-value women that are, like, in love, that begin to fall in love with you, honestly, that really like you. So don't use this for girls that you already know you want to just lay and not talk to again, because this shit is powerful, bro. I'm telling you right now, this shit is hella powerful. And you don't want to get a girl that's not worth shit this sprung. You don't want to do it. So don't even continue with A2. Like, just stop it. If you want to do it right and you think this girl is bad, this is what you want to do. Because what you want to trick in her, this guy seems interesting. I don't know what it is, but this dude seems interesting. All right? That's what you want from A2. This dude seems interesting. And then she's attracted to you. Finally, guys, is A3. And this is what we call male to female interest. So this is now when you can communicate to her that you're feeling her. You're not going to do it by saying, hey, I'm feeling you. It's going to happen by you, talking to her and finding out more about her. And qualifying is like, I didn't know that you were interested in that. That's actually really cool because or when both of you guys are like, oh, you like astrology? I love astrology too. Or, oh, wow, you went to that school? I went to that school. And you guys delve into that. Now you're in A3 because now it's like, okay, I have a reason to like you now. Because it's something about you that you're doing that is standing out from a lot of the other girls I talk to. That's the effect you want to create with A3. Some of the things that they have is the hoop theory, for example. And this is a girl gives you a hoop to have to jump through in order to get her. It's all these different tests. So you can do things like that as well. Like you can be like, wow, I'm really into helping like fundraisers and helping certain causes. But it sounds like you don't care too much about that type of stuff. So, I wouldn't want to, go too deep into that because and she might be like, no, I want to hear more about it. Be like, you sure? Because I don't know. And she's like, yeah, I do. Tell me. All right, she just went through one hoop, you know what I mean, to continue the conversation. Or you might say, hey, I'm about to go, I want to keep talking, but I think I'm going to get some more, I think I'm going to talk to my friend. I don't, want to, bother you guys, not bother, but I don't want to, bore you guys much longer. I got to meet my friends and stuff. And she might be like, no, you're not boring me. Go ahead, hang here. So that's one level of them. The other level of hoop theory is making her go through tests where you're challenging, like, so did you go through, so you said you went to this kind of university. I mean, what's your passion? Do you care about your passion? Do you care about your major or what? She might say, yeah, I love my major. You might be like, well, where do you think you'll be able to make money with that? You know what I mean? So these little things just challenge her a little bit. You know what I mean? Or you can even be rude, you know what I mean, where you can ignore her question or something she's saying. You know what I mean? She might say something and you might be a little bit disinterested. Or you can even throw something at her where you're like, you walk up to her and she might say like, hey, will you give me a drink or something like that. And you might say something like, yeah, how about this? First round's on you. First round's on you, and then the second's on me. That throws her off a little bit. Like, well, I don't want to, pay money to buy you a drink. And it's like, well, hey, I thought you was cool. Let's talk. Come on. But the idea is, she's throwing something at you. You know what I mean? And you're throwing something back at her. You know what I mean? She might be like, excuse me, like I'm not interested. You might be like, well, it's funny because I'm looking because you kind of have something on your face right here. You might want to wipe it off. You know what I mean? She put a hoop in front of you. You pulled the hoop and put it in front of her. Like, yeah, something on your face. You might want to wipe that off. She's like, whoa. You're just flipping the script on her. So that theory, those are different ways you can use it. You also have the bait, hook, rail, release, which is a whole process. You know what I mean? And it's something where essentially, I'll give you an example that they gave. They're like, what's your nationality? And she'll be like, French. And you're like, seriously, no way. The girl I had the biggest crush on in high school is French. I can't even talk to you now. You know what I mean? That goes back to kind of the push and pull. But it's just something where it's like you bait them in and then you push them away. So these are little things you can do. The overall goal of this is to get the girl to where you guys build a bond. And now there's a reason for you two to hang out more or to talk more. So here's my version of this. You're just looking for a common connection that you all can really talk about. I don't think you need to do any of this stuff, to be honest. I think this stuff, I honestly don't really care for this stuff that much, except qualifying. I think qualifying is good, and it's natural. So you're just looking for something that you two really hit it off on while y'all are talking. Once you find that, so it might be, yeah, you might not find nothing for a while. Like she might be talking like, okay. What brought you over here to the city? She might be like, well, I came here honestly because, of college. You might be like, okay, so not a big deal, college. I mean, what are you passionate about? She might be like, well, I'm passionate about dogs. Okay, that's interesting. Me personally, I don't care for dogs, so I'm like, okay. I mean, why are you passionate about dogs? I mean, I just really feel like we neglect animals, and we don't really have like. I feel like dogs are so deep and such good pals, and then I can be like, all right, I fuck with that because I know that animals have a deep world. You know what I mean? Now here's the big part about A3. What if y'all have nothing in common? That's why this method is so good, because if y'all have nothing in common, you don't need to be fucking with her. Just to keep it real. You just want to lay her because she's hot. All right, make up something that y'all agree on and do that. But I believe it should be genuine. Connect with a beautiful woman that you actually vibe with. That's my thing. So try to find the actual connection. It might take some time. I'm sure as human beings, there's something we all can connect on. You just got to find it. Maybe you guys smoke. Maybe you guys like to drink. Maybe you guys don't like to do neither. What show? A lot of girls like anime. You're just finding a connection. Once the connection is there, you two are going to begin to vibe. And once y'all begin to vibe, this is where we go into comfort. And comfort is going to be the second part, guys. So just to close out the attraction, A1 is simply trying to look in a way that's attractive. A lot of A1 begins before you even get to a place. What do you dress up like? Or do you work out at all? If you don't work out or dress well, think about it. Why is she going to pay attention to you just because of your conversation? Come on. You have to give A1 its respect. You got to give each level of these their respect. A1 is making sure you go in there looking good, smelling good, being high energy. All these things are A1. A2 is now you're going to talk to her. You're going to present yourself to her. You're going to put yourself in her space and communicate with her. And in that communication, you want to, demonstrate certain things. And I'll just say the 5 things now that you want to demonstrate based on this method. These 5 things are guaranteed to make a woman attracted to you if you put these in your conversation. Number 1 is going to be pre-selection. That means she already knows that women are attracted to you. Number 2 is going to be, and these aren't in any order, but number 2 is going to be, let me see, one is qualifying is going to be healthy emotions. That means that's showing that you have good emotions, that you're not like negative and like you're not low vibration. You want to come in there like, hey, yeah, no, that's awesome. Like you want to allow your conversation for you to have a smooth energy about you. Other ways you could demonstrate that is, yeah, I bought something for my mother for Mother's Day, and she loved the gift, and I'm just like, I wish there was a Son's Day, let me get something like that. But the whole idea is just to let her know that you got something for your mother. Like that seems like something like a good guy would do. The third one is leader of men. So you say, oh, like me, I have a few businesses. I bring up my businesses, or so I told James when we were at the spot, I was like, bro, let's go, fuck this shit, and we left. Boom. So she knows you can lead men, or men have respect for you, because what's the opposite of that? Guys are treating you like shit, or guys don't respect you. Okay, so that's how you can convey that. The fourth one is going to be protector of loved ones, which means if you tell a story like, man, one time this dude said some shit to my sister. I was like, oh, fuck no. I had to go, I walked up to this dude, I was like, bro, if you ever say that shit again, bro, you know what I'm saying? It's a rap. Dude was like, oh, bro, I'm so sorry. You know what I'm saying? I was damn about to slap this dude, man. And now, that's one way you can express it. Another way could be simple, where it's like, I really love, like, the people in my family, and I would do anything to keep them safe. You know what I mean? Like, I don't play with that. If you're a part of my family, if you're a part of my tribe, I'm going to ride for you. I'm going to make sure that you're good, because we got to have each other's back. That really hits deep for a woman. And that's a very powerful thing you can do, in your game, in your storytelling, that's going to trigger attraction in her. And finally, the last one I believe is a successful risk taker. Once again, that's, you have a business, or you're going after goals, or you're climbing mountains, or whatever kind of risky things you're doing, and that you've done successfully. That's letting her know that you're a winner. And these are all the things you want to demonstrate in your conversation. But, bro, all you got to do in A2 is simply just talk normal about yourself and speak in a solid regard about yourself, and talk to her and figure out things about her. And if she's really hot, like, you disqualify yourself. Most of the girls you tell that you have a girlfriend or something like that, bro, they don't even care. Like, that doesn't stop her from being attracted to you. Attraction isn't a choice. So A2 is all about making yourself not look thirsty, talking to her, right? And then you want to find a common interest, right? But that's A3. And let's step into A3. You want to have a conversation with her. With A3, you don't want to just agree with her off rip. That's where you kind of challenge. You ask her questions. You see what she thinks. You dig a little deep in convo about things. You challenge a little bit sometimes. And A3 is, okay, nah, I fuck with that. That's crazy. What else? Boom, boom. Now you all are relating on things. And now she's attracted to you because she's talking to you. You guys are relating on things. Now all the other guys in the environment don't exist right now because guess what? She's talking to you, right? Now this stuff goes deep because what if a guy walks up and interferes with your convo, or what if her friends come in and disrupt her, right? In these moments, you want to keep it cool. The reality is you've already triggered attraction in her. So you either continue your convo or you come back to her later. And then you just do the same process with the next girl. If you do this with different women in the environment while you're out, you're going to have women attracted to you, period. All right? And what you want to do after A3 really is you want to get the number. Now, if you don't get the number, that's cool because y'all can go straight into comfort without having to get her number, right? And just go straight there. But I say you secure the number just in case she gets pulled away. Like, yeah, let's exchange contacts, and maybe we can talk later. So, all right, cool. Get her contact, and then y'all can still talk. Or you can step off and talk to her later. Once you got the number, you're good because all that's next is y'all meeting up. So you can either transition with her while you're out that night to the comfort stage, which we're going to talk about next, or you can, just leave and get her number. So comfort is super important now. Comfort is where is powerful because it's very simple, but you got to do it right, and that's what we're going to talk about next in part 2.